we've got a sign to wait from the live streaming. Right. Culture Designs extends a warm welcome to welcoming Vasantha. Really excited to have you all with us today, and also welcoming you to the launch of Krodi Samvatsara calendar, which is Parvadarshini 2.0. At Culture, we pride ourselves on making culture cool. My name is Charu, and he's Neil. As you have seen through our well-known products, Devabhasha, 108% Indian, Temple Trails, and Parvadarshini, of course, all of which you will see on display in some ways here and at the stall down. And at the mini stall, and you will see some of the older products that we have had, which is Parampare and Temple Trails and things like that. So last year we launched Vikram Samvat Parvadarshini, and today we are launching the 2.0 version of it, and that calendar that visualizes time purely in an Indian manner.
So if I asked you what is the date as per the Indian calendar today, how many of you know it? Yeah. Okay, no, I'm not asking you, it's okay. So here's the thing, right? Most of us don't know, or we have lost touch with our way of keeping time. So our ancient way of keeping time was basically looking at the moon, the position of the moon, and imagine that ancient Indians looked up at the sky, realized that A, the moon would move in phases, and B, it moves in the backdrop of a set of stationary nakshatras. That is the basis for our calendar. And our calendar is an incredibly accurate representation of the cosmos. So for the record, today is Krishna Paksha, Dwadashi, Falguna Masa, Shatabhishak Nakshatra, correct? Dr. Vishwa has said it is correct. So the thing here is, over the years, our knowledge of the calendar has continued to fade. You can see by my gray hair, I am fairly on the other side of the generational divide. Even my generation doesn't know about it. And for a lot of people, we just follow it by virtue of the Gregorian date. So for example, we say Diwali is this date, rather than saying that Diwali is either falls on an Amavasya or whether it is Dhanat Trayodashi. So we have completely lost the meaning. So as culture, and as Charu mentioned, we prefer to look at this problem and say, what can we do about it? And what we therefore came up with was this redesigned calendar. And we believe that this calendar, if we make a cool product, people will actually look at it, gravitate towards it, and slowly realize the meaning of it rather than saying this is the best way. So our approach is make a better product and let people realize what it is all about.
And today we have some glorious fare lined up for you, and you already know about it. We will have the ever popular Vinay Varanasi regaling us with the story of Kala, Dr. Vishwanath Guha, the Jyotisha Vidwan, and our guiding force behind Parvadarshini 2.0, who's a delight to listen to because because of his wit and his knowledge. And we will have Sri Mata, who's a dear friend and an accomplished musician, who is going to, I'm not going to reveal too much, there's going to be a surprise melody from her. So
it is a hot Vasantha, but we hope that at some point there will be rain. So one of the things, so here's the thing, when we did this calendar last year, we started in December and we finished just in time for Ugadi. This year we started 3 months before, and we still finish at about the same time. So the point I'm trying to share with you all is, finally time is the master. Kala decides what happens at what point. So you can start as early as you want, you can start as late as you want. Finally, Kala decides what is supposed to happen. So here's the thing. One of the, I think for each one of you who know Vinay, a lot of people know Vinay, a lot of people know Dr. Vishwanath, a lot of people know Srimata. We are glad that we are able to bring all these three highly accomplished professionals on one stage, and that is our honor. So on that philosophical note, I invite Dr. Vishwanath Guha to speak to us about Sankalpa and Kala are so beautifully intertwined. So if you can So while Dr. Vishwa takes the stage, a little bit of introduction about Dr. Vishwanath. I keep calling him Vishwa, please pardon me, because I know him as Vishwa, so it is very difficult for me to refer to him as Dr. Vishwanath Guha. I hope you will pardon me. So I'm going to refer to you as Vishwa from here on. So Vishwa is a scholar from Mysore who has studied through the Gurukula systems and come from a lineage of scholars. He's a treasure house of knowledge, and his lectures on Upanishads, Nastya Shastras, and Ramayana, pretty much anything, are an absolute delight. I know it because I've attended a couple of his lectures and continue to attend them. He is an adjunct professor at IIT Hyderabad, and he is also part of the creation team of this calendar. What you see as the Parvadarshini, he is one of the driving forces behind it. So when you look at the calendar, you will realize that we have hardly deviated from the traditions. And the reason why we have never deviated from the tradition is thanks to Dr. Vishwanath. Because every time we go and ask him, here is the thing, can we change? Vishal will say, no, but this is the right way to do it. So we said, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. So we have done this a few times before the calendar has taken its final shape. We are absolutely privileged to have him on the team of the Parvadarshini and to have him today to talk to us about Sankalpa and time. Over to you, Vishwa.
ॐ यो माग्ने भागिनगं सन्तमथा भागञ्चिकीर्षति अभागमग्ने तङ्कुरु मामग्ने भागिनं कुरु शब्दार्थभाविभुवना सृजतीन्दुरूपा या तद्बिभर्ति पुनः अर्कतनुस्वशक्त्या वह्न्यात्मिका हरति तत्सकलं युगान्ते तां शारदां मनसि जातु न विस्मरामि श्रोतांसि सर्वर्षिहृतां यदीये प्रज्ञासमुद्रे मिलनं भजन्ति तं ज्ञानविज्ञाननिधिं शरण्यं श्रीसद्गुरुं त्वां शरणं प्रपद्ये. A warm welcome to all of you. Honestly, I was not expecting that I shall go first. So I was a little taken aback when he said that you are next, you are going to speak. So pardon me if I sound a bit rustic. But anyway, the subject today is, we are welcoming Vasantha just 3 days before its actual arrival. So it is scheduled on 9th and we are welcoming it on 6th. So it's like just like how nowadays pre-wedding shoots happen before wedding. It's something similar to this. So we are beginning with this one. First and foremost, what is the sort of difficulty that we usually find in relating with our Panchanga? Panchanga is a Panchanga is a very very intact thing in almost all our Indian families. It is also kept in such a place that nobody interested can find. Yeah, that's actually quite embarrassingly serious, because if anybody wants to understand the Panchanga, first and foremost, they would not understand in what exact manner it has been prepared. It would take a while for us to understand how to read Panchanga. And then the most difficult part, because I also started as a student of Jyotisha, the first lessons were how to read a Panchanga. Because that's basic, that's fundamental. The difficulty in Panchanga is there is not enough space to mention all the intricate details that are required to be mentioned of a particular day. So what they do is they have come up with a genius plan. They would just mention A, B, C. And then you have to search for A. A would be somewhere else. B would be somewhere down. So it becomes a daunting task for us to even begin the journey of studying Panchanga. So that is the first turn off thing, because usually what happens is, because since we cannot understand what is Panchanga, we feel that it's okay, we don't want to know Panchanga. And the second thing is, since the whole world has been following a particular calendar, we just don't want to shift over to our original calendar. And here lies our most important problem, because we are trying to map our festivals in someone else's calendar. It's like you are searching for your agenda of your day in someone else's phone. If you are going to do that, you are never going to find your agenda on their phone. And that's exactly what has happened to us, and that has hurt us for all these years. As Neil mentioned in the beginning, if you ask anybody, when is Ugadi? April 9th. Because we speak in a very specific calendar year. In 2024, April 9th marks Ugadi. But that's not true for the next year or the previous year. So how do we understand this? How do we inculcate the Panchanga into our daily life? We need not work on that, because there already exists a certain system. And that also, unfortunately, has been taken away from us. I will tell you how they have taken it away, or how we conveniently have ignored that. The next word in my title given is, of course, I will come back to Panchanga, and I will explain what is Panchanga and why this is a capsule of Panchanga. It is not a replacement of Panchanga, it is just a capsule in a format that can be easily accessed. The problem is about accessing the Panchanga. Even if you have a Panchanga at home, we don't know how to read that Panchanga. So this has been, the whole effort of our team has been to make it appealing to people, make it easily accessible to people. Now, more on that later, but now what is Sankalpa? Sankalpa is a word that everyone knows. If anybody is a temple goer, they would know what Sankalpa is. The definition of Sankalpa given in Amarakosha is Sankalpa Karma Manasam. It is called as Manasam Karma. Right? Thank you. Sankalpa is called as Manasam Karma. It's a mental activity. Anything that we think, anything that we resolve. What is mind? Mind has been defined as Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam Manaha. Closer. No, yeah. No, I'm afraid because my hands shake. So, so I don't want everyone to know that. So anyway, now you know the secret. It's an open secret now. Right. Mind has been defined as the thing that resolves and dissolves. That's all the mind does. Sankalpa Vikalpatmakam Manaha. It takes a resolve, and immediately after that, it dissolves the same thing. And it does that the whole time. If this is what mind is made up of, and it happens because of its constituents, because it is comprised of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And the very nature of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas is to dominate one another, is to fight for the supremacy. So when three things are fighting for supremacy, usually two of them get dominated, and one seems to be uplifted only for a while. And that's why mind sometimes takes a resolve, and immediately we dissolve that. They identified that this is the activity of mind, this is what mind is, and then said that you need to have a strong resolve. So therefore, in our tradition, in our culture, before we begin any work, anything, first and foremost, we do a sankalpa. That need not be in the sankalpa mudra that we are actually aware of. It can be without that mudra as well. For example, we see somebody and my hands are full, our hands are full because we are carrying something, but we do greet them. We tell them namaskara or namaste. That is also without the mudra, because this, the folding of hands, is called as a mudra. That is namaskara mudra. Without the mudra as well, we can convey the content that we want to convey them. Likewise, sankalpa can also be done without doing the sankalpa mudra. So if that is true, then how do we inculcate, how do we bring together, how do we intertwine Panchanga and Sankalpa? So they identified that our Panchanga is very unique because it has 5 macro things and 5 micro things. Only the micro things have become popular. Tithi, Vara, Nakshatra, Yoga, and Karana. That is the first thing when somebody says Panchanga, Tithi, Vara, Nakshatra, Yoga, and Karana. But that's not the only five angas that are considered as Panchanga. There are five more macro things that have been inculcated in our Sankalpa. If we closely observe the Sankalpa, the first parts I will leave that because there are plenty of details into that. Dandakaranye, Godavari Tire, all these things that can be changed based on the place from where we hail from. Now it all starts from the Samvatsara. That is the big thing. You can find all five macro things as well as five micro things in this calendar. That's the beauty of this calendar, because not a single detail has been missed. Even if it has been not dealt, even if it has not been mentioned, it is for a particular reason. We have not mentioned yoga and karana in this calendar because they are not popularly used, point number one. Secondly, it creates a lot of confusion when you give too much of information in one page. The most frequently used details are all mentioned there. Now, where have we mentioned the Samvatsara? The first macro thing of Panchanga is Samvatsara. Where have we mentioned Samvatsara in this Panchanga? The whole thing represents Samvatsara. The entire calendar is a representative of the upcoming Samvatsara, that is Krodhi. And then immediately after Samvatsara, Krodhi Nama Samvatsarasya, immediately we say Uttarayane or Dakshinayane. We have two ayanas. Ayana is the two halves. If we split the entire year into two halves, we get 6 months each. And these 6 months are not only based on time, but many people may not know this, but they are actually inculcation of the seasons. So 3 Rutus in Uttarayana and 3 Rutus in Dakshinayana. Although Uttarayana would have begun way earlier, even before the actual Chandramana Samvatsara begins, Uttarayana would have already begun, because Uttarayana and Dakshinayana is not calculated based on the movement of the moon. It is calculated based on the movement of the sun. So that is the first point of reference that we get in our daily Sankalpam, that our calendar that we use daily is an amalgamation of both solar and lunar calendars. It's not only one. There is another interesting fact that I wanted to share. In our country, we have 5 different methods to calculate that are usually used in astrology. For astrological calculations, we have 5 different methodologies. The popular amongst them are only 2, solar and lunar, Chandramana and Sauramana. The word mana means the methodology of calculation. Now, apart from these 2, we have Nakshatramana, where we use the nakshatras, where we use the stars to calculate, because they are fixated. Naksharatiti nakshatram, that which don't move, are called as nakshatra. And then we have Barhaspatyamana, which is not used in the southern part of India. It is used either in the eastern or the northern part of India. That is based on Brihaspati. Brihaspati is Guru, Jupiter. It is based on the Jupiter's movements. And there is one last mana that none of us are aware of because it is not popular. It is called as Savanamana. So what is the contribution of Savanamana in our Panchanga or in our day-to-day usage? Is there anywhere mentioned about the Savanamana? Yes, it is. How do you think we calculate day? Dina. The very concept of Dina is calculated on Savanamana. We all know that the day begins at 0001, right? No. No, it doesn't. It doesn't begin at 00001. It begins at sunrise. Udayad udayam bhanoh bhumi savana vasaraha is a quote taken from Surya Siddhanta, where they say that starting from the sunrise to sunrise, you will count it as one day. And if you want to see how we have inculcated this very fact in the calendar, observe very closely, there is a dotted line. Starting from the inner circle to the periphery, till that periphery, there is a dark line and then dotted lines. That marks the beginning of sunrise. That marks the beginning of the day. And that can be used across all the places. All you need to do is you just need to observe when is the sun rising in your city. So this is applicable globally as well. Although we have taken the calculations based on Mysore and Bangalore, because that's where we worked, but it can be used on that idea that sunrise marks the beginning of our day. All right, so Samvatsara and Ayana is Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. It has got a major influence. It has got a very, very impactful thing on our thinking. You see that most of the functions, marriages, Upanayanam, Chaula, and all such things happen only in the Uttarayana, right? Not in Dakshinayana. Dakshinayana is only for festivals. Dakshinayana is more known for celebrating various deities. Uttarayana, and we also hear a beautiful story. I'm afraid to speak about stories when Vinay is here, but still, Bhishma waited till Uttarayana, till the dawn of Uttarayana. There is an importance of Uttarayana that is very much a part of our life, but we have let go of that. Anyway, this is the attempt to bring all those things back. So Ayana is the second macro aspect of Panchanga. The third one is Rutu. Rutu is the seasons. So 6 seasons we all are aware of, and the name, the title itself says that welcoming Vasantha. Vasantha is the first Rutu, and this Rutu has got Rutunam Kusumakaraha is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. He says that of all the 6 seasons, you can find me in Vasantha. Kusumakaraha means when the flowers bloom. That is basically Vasantha. All right. And then the fourth one is Masa. Rutu has also been mentioned because we have followed the same color combination, same idea. And this time, I guess, we have mentioned the name of the Rutu in both the pages. You will find the name of the Rutu in 2 Masas, because 2 months each will give us 1 Rutu. And the next aspect is Masa, that is month. 1 page represents the month, and on the top left corner, you will find the name of the month as well. And finally, the 5th aspect is the Paksha. Where can you find Paksha in our calendar? You all must be wondering what is Paksha, because the only time we hear the word Paksha is during Mahalaya Paksha. After that, we don't hear, unless it is election season, just like now. During these times, we hear Paksha. Otherwise, if it is anglicized, then we will only hear the word party. Okay. Anyway, now the Paksha can be found in black and white band right in the center. If you closely observe, there is a white band and a black band in the center, and that represent Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. And if you closely observe the calendar again, you will find 2 flags, one at the top and one at the down. The top flag reminds that the southern states usually follow from right to left. That is, they start from Shukla Paksha and end in Krishna Paksha. And the northern states start from Krishna Paksha and end in Shukla Paksha. So these are the 2 systems of calculating a month that is followed in our country. Right now, as we speak, it has already been 13 days in the northern states since the new Samvatsara began, since Chaitra Masa began for them, because they calculate from Krishna Paksha, and for them the previous, our Phalguna Masa's Krishna Paksha is their Chaitra Masa's Krishna Paksha. It's a small alteration that we need to understand, but there is no harm in that, because both systems have been mentioned in the Shastras. One is called as Purnimanta Masa, another one is called as Amanta Masa. The southern states follow Amanta Masa, and northern states follow Purnimanta Masa. There is no much difference in that. So all 5 aspects, the macro aspects that I have just shared now, can be seen in the Panchanga and in the calendar, sorry. And then the most popular ones, Tithi, Vara, Nakshatra, Yoga, and Karana. I have already told you the last 2 have been omitted purposefully, because it would create. People nowadays don't even know the name of the nakshatras. And if we introduce yogas as well, which we are going to do soon, maybe in the coming years, but not now, but definitely not now, because this is an attempt to bring people on this side. It's been quite a lot of time, quite a long time since we have been on that side. We have always wondered that Makara Sankranti for us is on January 14th and January 15th, or January 14th or January 15th. And that needs to be gone from Indian minds, because that's not the way. That's not the way to understand uh, the beginning of Uttarayana. What a beautiful beginning that is. And we have been noting that down in our mind and passing it on by saying that it either falls on January 14th or 15th. That needs to go. Therefore, we first start with, I don't know if Neil shared this or not. There's a funny story about it. I think we worked for around 1 month. Almost 1 month's data collection was done in the last year, because we were fixated on the idea that nakshatram means that which doesn't move. So we want to fix that, we want to present that idea that nakshatras are constant and everything else will be mapped to the nakshatras. It was a daunting task. And all of a sudden we had a miracle kind of thing. And we decided that, no, hold on a minute, why don't we make the varas that are very easy to follow? And that's how we fixated on the varas, because you can find this circle right next to the paksha band of white and black. Immediately you will find the varas. And the names have been mentioned in Devanagari: Ravi, Soma, and Kuja, Buddha, Guru, Shukra, Shani, like this. Now, there is one more point to be observed: the color combination. The color combination has been taken from the Shastras, where a particular color has been designated for a particular graha. Yet another interesting that I wanted to share is how do we calculate the vara? Why is it that the young minds could ask this question one day? Why is that we get Monday after Sunday? Why is it not Tuesday? It's a very simple question. There is an explanation for that. We work on a concept called as Kala Hora. There are certain advanced works in Jyotisha where they say that an astrologer, any astrologer that doesn't know what Kala Hora is unfit to be an astrologer, is what they say. Because the Kala Hora changes every 1 hour once. And it starts from the sunrise again, based on that particular place. Imagine the first day of this universe was on a Sunday. It all started with Ravivara. So the first hour from sunrise was entirely dominated by Ravi. And then the next one was by Shukra. I'm sure that you are all you are aware of these names. So it's just a mental exercise so that I won't put you to sleep. So just need to remember these 7 things in a sequence. The first is Ravi. The second hour belongs to Shukra. The third hour belongs to Buddha. Fourth hour belongs to Chandra. Fifth to Shani. Sixth to Guru. And seventh to Kuja, that is Angaraka. Now there are 7 things, 7 planets placed in this sequence. You repeat them thrice. You will get 21 hours. And then you again start with the 22nd hour, again with Surya, 23rd hour with Shukra, 24th hour with Buddha, and the 25th hour will be Chandra. Because 24 hours marks the end of a day. Therefore, right after Sunday, we get Monday. Right after Ravivara, we get Somavara. And you can do the same calculation all by yourself, and you will see that it never misses out. That is one of the unique things that we follow. And you get to know, even some people might be wondering that how did our ancestors know that this is the exact day? You can still wonder about that when you hear the stories of all the Naga sadhus and Aghoris and all such great sadhakas who assemble every 12 years once without getting any invitation. No e-invites as well. They simply pop up at that place. How? It's because they can map this. They can understand this. You can keep a record of Kala Hora every single day, and it does wonders to all of us. It's just that it takes a time, and it takes a while to get used to these names. And of course, it's a boring job. 1 day, 2 days, yeah, everyone can do. But if you have to do it for 1 year, It should become a habit. In order to make that a habit, we have to practice it for a year, and that will take a while. Anyway, moving on, next circle, you can find the shape of the moon changing, which denotes the tithi. Okay. The definition of tithi that has been given in the texts of Jyotisha is the 12-degree difference between the sun and moon is called as a tithi. Okay. So that increases the moon is either increasing from the right corner, or it will be decreasing on the left corner. It depends if you are going to start from Purnimanta or Amanta. It depends on you. But you can actually see, and there is one way of checking whether this calendar has been made precisely or not. All you need to do is pick any month, because we have given the dates as well. The month starts from so and so date to so and so. You pick any day and start observing the moon in the night sky. Preferably do it in Sharad Rutu, because they say that in the Sharad Rutu, the moon comes very closer to the earth. Tatasharat Chandra Karabhiramaihi is what Bharavi also says. Anyway, fine. So you can observe each and every day and can see if the representation of the moon given in the calendar is similar to what we see in the sky, in the night sky, or not. That way, we not only connect with the nature, we also put the calendar to good use. The purpose is not just to decorate your houses with this calendar. The purpose is to make this calendar tick your brains and work every day. Just to know what tithi is today, what nakshatra is today. As happens of today, I think Neil mentioned that today is Phalguna Masa's Krishna Paksha's Dwadashi. At the current moment when we are talking, it's already Trayodashi. That's how quick time is. So that can be mapped in the calendar itself. At the dawn of every day, what nakshatra was there, what tithi was there, and at what point in a day it ended, and when did the next tithi begin. And plenty of confusions that exist. You need not ask the Google anymore. You can look at this calendar and you can understand why Krishna Janmashtami is celebrated on 2 days. Because on one day there will be Ashtami, and you can observe that at the dawn of that day there will be Ashtami mentioned, 8, number 8, and the picture of that moon. And on the next day, probably Rohini Nakshatram will have plenty of space on that day. So depending on that, because Krishna Jayanti is based on Rohini Nakshatram and Krishnashtami is based on Ashtami Tithi. So these are two different concepts. That's the reason why we celebrate Krishnashtami or Krishna Janmashtami on 2 days. Where is the conflict here? There is no conflict, because the basic idea is very much clear. Since we are not clear of these ideas, it creates a confusion in our mind, thinking and saying that Indian calendar is very difficult to understand. It is not. It's very easy. And lastly, yoga and karana, which are not actually mentioned here. But if you ever want to calculate karana, it's very simple. I will tell you how to calculate karana from this calendar itself. Take the duration of a tithi, okay, and cut it into half. So because tithyardham karanam, the half of a tithi is called as karana. So every day will have 2 karanas. There are chara karanas and sthira karanas, which I don't want to bore you, because I know my time is up. I get to know that. So, so these are the 5 important minor or micro aspects of Panchanga. Combined together, it is included in our Sankalpam as well. Now we get back to the Sankalpa, because that's where we all started it. So what is the purpose of remembering time while doing every single activity? We do Sandhyavandanam every day. Oh, by the way, Sandhyavandanam includes 3 important aspects. Arghya Pradhanam, which was applicable to every single human being on the planet Earth once upon a time. Then it was removed. It was sectarian kind of thing happened later on. But Arghya Pradhanam is very much an integral part of every single human being. You go to villages, you ask some old people, the first thing they do before they get to work is they give Arghyam to the sun. Because without sun and the moon, you cannot ignite the third residing fire within ourselves. Because this is the trinity that works. And mind resolves. We do all activities only because of the energy generated within the mind. And that energy is generated by the fire. And in order to keep ourselves intact with that fire, we need to create a trinity. And how do we create that trinity? We create that by mapping the movements of sun and the moon, because sun and the moon can be seen in the outer space. And the fire is within us. And this all makes sense because the whole of Jyotisha Shastra, is dependent on only one theory. The theory that has not been exposed, that has not been told. That theory is called as Driktulyatvam. You must be wondering, what is Driktulyatvam? Driktulyatvam means it must match the vision. What should match the vision? Our calculations should match what we see. So we all had Vedashalas, observatories in our country as well, long time ago. So whatever calculations we have done, the mathematical calculations, that should match with the observations that we do in the observatory. Is that it? Is that what is called as Driktulyatvam? No. Jyotisha always works with the principle of three. Omne trium perfectum is what the Latin phrase says. Everything that comes in three is perfect. Jyotisha has three skandhas: Samhita, Siddhanta, Samhita, and Hora. Right? It is a form of trinity that we are trying to achieve: Surya, Chandra, and Agni. Soma, Surya, Agni, Lochana. This is one common word that you can find in every single deity's Ashtottara Shatanamam. If not in Ashtottara Shatanamam, you can definitely find it in Sahasranam. Because every single deity is made out of these three aspects, and that has been included in our day-to-day Panchangam, in day-to-day Sankalpam as well. Whatever activity it is, even if it is a repetition of the activity that we do every day, we must remember from where it all began and where do we stand right now. And all of that counts, all of that makes sense, because this is the only thing that can be measured. It is called as Kala because it can be Kalanam. Kalanam means to count, to measure, to quantify. This is the only thing that can be quantified. If you go to the Upanishads, you will know that Brahma is vast. It cannot be quantified. Is there a form of Brahma that can be quantified? Yes. Kalosmiloka kshayakrit pravrittaha. Right. So I am that time, what Krishna says. And that time is gananatmakaha. It can be calculated. It can be quantified. And why are we doing this? Our calculation of time is nothing but the sakara upasana, saguna upasana of Brahma. Because time is nothing but Brahma. And when we take all these names, for 2 months, we are going to say the same Rutu. Shishira Rutu, Vasantha Rutu. It's okay. But you can identify the small changes that happens in Tithi, the small changes that happens in the star, in Nakshatram. So all these things are very much important for us to take into account before we embark on any activity. That doesn't mean that if you want to hit somebody, it did happen actually. It did happen. My teacher used to tell us this anecdote that he had recently began his Jyotisha practice, and one gentleman one day came to my teacher and asked that I need a muhurtam. I said, okay, for what purpose? I said, I want to beat a person. You give me the right time when I can beat him. My teacher was perplexed. And then he asked him that, why are you seeking the right time to beat someone? Because I don't want to be attacked by him again. So you give me the right time. So, but no, this is not for that purpose. This is also, sorry, one last thing, 2 minutes. I'm going to finish in 2 minutes. There are plenty of facts involved in this calendar that I don't want to miss out on, at least the major highlights. If I miss out on any highlights, you will realize it on your own, which is wonderful, isn't it? So it is named as Parvadarshini. The reason why it has been named as Parvadarshini is because it shows the important parvas. What is parva? Parva means the festival. Not just that. Parva also means the ring that we find in the sugar cane. That is called as parva. And if anybody is into cultivation, then they would understand that in order to cultivate sugarcane, you need to protect that ring, because from there it sprouts. And this parva that we celebrate, the festivals that we celebrate, the whole purpose of all the parvas that we celebrate in our country is only one thing: to look within ourselves. And that's why time is so vital. That's why we need to map the time. Because this Driktulyatam, the one last thing that I forgot. No, I did not forget. I remembered, but I thought that you might have forgotten. The third thing is about mapping. Driktulyatam is not just about mapping our calculations with the outer space. It is also about looking deep within ourselves to find whether all three of them have fallen in a straight line. Only when all three of these observations fall in a straight line, that's when Jyotisha triumphs. That's when the inner light triumphs. After all, we are celebrating the Jyoti, isn't it? Parva, Jyoti, you cannot go away from these concepts in Indian perspective. Therefore, this calendar serves as an initiative to help ourselves to find that inner light. And Parva is the time when there is a popular Kannada proverb, Gali bandaga turiko. Right? When the winds are favorable, one must sail. Sail towards the inner journey. To conquer the inner world, one must sail when the times are favorable. And to identify the favorable time, we need Panchanga. That's why we keep mapping. Every single day, there will be a favorable time for us to sail towards our inner world. And in order to identify that, in the beginning of a day, when we do Sankalpa, we remember each and every aspect so that we can plan accordingly that, oh, this time for today, I'm going to keep it empty. I'm not going to involve myself in any materialistic activities because this time is meant for sadhana. You cannot imagine an Indian lifestyle without mentioning sadhana. That's a beautiful blend of celebration as well as antaranga sadhana. Thank you very much for your patience and kindness to hear me for all this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vishwaji. Thank you for initiating us on a journey to find our inner light. And who would have thought that a lecture on Jyotisha and Sankalpa could have been so interesting? I saw people looking into the calendar and trying to correlate what he was talking and what's in the calendar. And he has given us a cheat sheet to understand and read and discover the Parvadarshini 2.0 better. So now I'm going to introduce Sri Mata into our next section. Sri Mata Ramanand is a B-high graded Carnatic vocalist trained under renowned senior musician Sangeeta Kala Ratna, Sangeeta Kala Acharya Vidwan M.S. Sheila, and she is trained under her for more than 3 decades. She's been performing at various prestigious sabhas across Karnataka and outside. She has been teaching for over 20 years now and has taken up music as a full-time profession. After a 3-year stint at India Foundation for the Arts, where she worked on and initiated arts projects across genres of music. She also writes on music and gives lecture demonstrations on different aspects of Carnatic classical music. She's also a trustee of Swara Veenalaya Center for Performing Arts, an organization dedicated to promotion and propagation of Indian classical music. And they actively curate a lot of programs through the trust, along with her mother, Vidwan Geeta Ramanand, who we have the honor of having with us today. Thank you, ma'am. And with her brother, Adamya Ramanand. So I'm going to invite Sri Mata to take us on a journey of welcoming Vasantha through her melodious music. Over to you, Sri Mata.
Good evening. So, since the theme is Vasantha, I chose a raga which embodies the spirit of Vasantha, whether it is its Lalitya or the energy or the sprightliness. So, the obvious choice was Vasantha Raga, which I feel truly represents what the season is about. And I've also chosen to present a piece by Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar in this raga, which celebrates the deity whose birthday we are going to celebrate soon. I don't want the fan. Can you just turn it? Thanks, Meda. नीलाम्बुज श्यामल कोमलाङ्गम् नीलाम्बुज श्यामल कोमलाङ्गम् सीता समारोपित वामभागम् सीता समारोपित वामभागम् पाणौ महासायक चारुचापम् पाणौ महासायक चारुचापम् नमामि रामम् नमामि रामम् नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथम्। रामचन्द्रं भावयामि रामचन्द्रं भावयामि रघुकुल तिलकम् उपेन्द्रं 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 रामचन्द्रं भावयामि। भूमिजानायकं भुक्तिमुक्तिदायकं भूमिजानायकं भुक्तिमुक्तिदायकं भूमिजानायकं भुक्तिमुक्तिदायकं भूमिजानायकं भुक्तिमुक्तिदायकं नाम कीर्तनतारकं नरहरोगतमायकं नाम कीर्तनतारकं नरहरोगतमायकं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि रघुकुल तिलकम् उपेन्द्रं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि। साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साम्राज्यप्रद हनुमन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साम्राज्यप्रद हनुमन्तं राकेन्दुवदनं राकेन्दुवदनं भगवन्तं राकेन्दुवदनं भगवन्तं रमणीय कल्याण गुणवन्तं राकेन्दुवदनं भगवन्तं रमणीय कल्याण गुणवन्तं काकुत्स्थं धीमन्तं कमलाक्षं श्रीमन्तं नागेशनुतमनन्तं नरगुरुगुहविहरन्तं काकुत्स्थं धीमन्तं कमलाक्षं श्रीमन्तं नागेशनुतमनन्तं नरगुरुगुहविहरन्तं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि रघुकुलतिलकं नृपेन्द्रं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि साकेतनगरे निवसन्तम् साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं साकेतनगरे निवसन्तं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि गमगरि सनि रामचन्द्रं मदनिदा मगमगरि सनि रामचन्द्रं दनिददानि दनद दनिददा मगमगरि सनि रामचन्द्रं मगमद मगमदनिदा मगमदनिद मदनिदा मगमद मागरि सनि रामचन्द्रं मम्मा ममा ममा ममत मामा गमद मादम मादनिद मादनिद मगा मदद मगा मद मगरि स रामचन्द्रं दत्ता दादा ददनि दादा दनि दादा मदनि दादा मदनि ददनि ददनि दानि ददनि ददनि दा मगा मदनि द मग मद मग मद मग मगरि सनि मागरि सनि दद मगरि सनि सा मग मद मग मदनि स मग मगरि सनि दनि सरि सनि सनि द मगरि सनि रामचन्द्रं भावयामि रघुकुलतिलकं नृपेन्द्रं रामचन्द्रं भावयामि Yeah. Do I have time or shall I finish? So when we speak of Vasantha, there's another obvious choice for me. It's an Ashtapadi which speaks of Sarasa Vasanta, which is even Munimanasa Mapi Mohanakarini. That's what Jayadeva says. It's coincidentally set in Basant of the North Indian classical music tradition, which means the same Rutu. ललित लवंग लता परिशीलन कोमल मलय समीरे ललित लवंग लता परिशीलन कोमल मलय समीरे मधुकर निकर करंबित कोकिल कूजित कुंज कुटीरे मधुकर निकर करंबित कोकिल कूजित कुंज कुटीरे विहरति हरिरिह सरस वसन्ते विहरति हरिरिह सरस वसन्ते नृत्यति युवति जनेन समं सखि विरहि जनस्य दुरन्ते ललित लवंग लता परिशीलन कोमल मलय समीरे माधविका परिमल ललिते नवमालति जाति सुगन्धौ माधविका ललिते नवमालति जाति सुगन्धौ मुनिमानसमपि मोहनकारिणी मुनिमानसमपि मोहनकारिणी तरुणाकारणबन्धौ ललित लवंग लता परिशीलन कोमल मलय समीरे श्रीजयदेव भणितम् इदमुदयति हरिचरण स्मृतिसारम् श्रीजयदेव भणितमिदमुदयति हरिचरण स्मृतिसारम् सरस वसन्त समय वनवर्णनं सरस वसन्त समय वनवर्णनम् अनुगत मदन विकारं ललित लवंग लता परिशीलन कोमल मलय समीरे कोमल मलय समीरे कोमल मलय समीरे.
Thank you, Srimata, for that melodious rendering. I don't know how many of you felt it, but for me, as I heard the music, it was almost like being transported to a different weather. And I'm saying this knowing fully well that it is a little warm here. Thank you so much. Your music transported us to a totally different realm. So on that note, thank you so much. And now, yeah. So while we were putting this program together, we knew that we wanted a philosophical connect to time, and that's why we wanted Dr. Vishwanath to speak. We also wanted a musical experience to bring in a slightly different perspective. And then when we thought about stories, the first name that came to our mind was Vinay Varanasi. I'm sure a lot of you are fans of Vinay. We have heard him on YouTube, on Instagram, and live. And every single time, he has this ability to establish this connect between something that is absolutely imaginary, and he gets it. He connects to every single one of us, and that's something that I have experienced live. I've experienced on YouTube on a recording. But what I can say is every single time Vinay manages to do that. So a little bit about, I think Vinay probably needs the least of all your introduction, but I'm going to read out what you sent. Vinay Varanasi, an artist and storyteller, has dedicated himself to bring to life cultural stories. He has spoken on a host of topics, and I'm sure you've followed him on his various channels, covering stories, symbolism, philosophies, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Puranas. And I particularly like the small reel you created on Kala, using the example of the ring from Ramayana. Brilliant. I had never heard it. I don't know how many of you had heard it before. He has performed in various places around the world. He's conducted research. He's very well known. He believes that stories are worlds in themselves containing nuggets of wisdom. And I think that's best experienced when Vinay tells a story. So on that note, I would like to welcome Vinay on stage. So Vinay has a request. It's an interesting request, and I'm pretty sure you will say yes, but let me still ask, is it okay if he goes about 10 minutes extra? You got your answer, Vinay.
That was not a very convincing yes, so I'll wait it out. Sabha Samudram Shirasa Namami. Namaskaram to all of you. Is this audible all the way up to the back? Yes. So when Neelana reached out and said that we are celebrating Vasantha, very organically this conversation happened, saying let's look at the idea of time and what it represents, and what are the suchanas, what are some messages around time that Puranas and Itihasas have. Now this is a topic that does not have a head or a tail, so I had a tough time thinking about what would emerge. And it is quite interesting if you just take that single word, Kala. I will not call it time anymore. I would prefer to call it the name that our rishis have given it, which is Kala. So as you would all well be aware, every aspect of our life as per Sanatana Dharma is governed by a certain Devata. Who is the Devata who is responsible for time? If we knew there were quiz questions, we would not have bought a ticket. Okay, Shiva, sure. Mahakaleshwar, sure. But I'm not even talking at the level of Parabrahma, of the Trinity, of the trio of Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. At the more Yama, absolutely. Yama, whose name brings up fear and whose name causes all of us to sit up in alert attention, is the Lord of Kala. Interestingly, Yama is to be worshipped on Shanivaram because this day is very special for him. So I thought it was just appropriate that today we look at what is Yama's role in our world. Because for us, Yama is fear. In fact, there was a Telugu cinema a couple of years ago where they decided to have a humorous take on Yama, and there they, of course, put all the Puranas into the locker, and then they said Yama has to have a wife in this movie. So what shall we call Yama's wife? And you know what they named her? They named her Ayyo. You know why? Because wherever Yama goes, everybody says Ayyo. That was the reasoning. And while this may tickle our funny bones, essentially what it does is it dumps down our understanding of a Devata. Yama is not a Devata who comes just standing with a buffalo at the door saying, time aitapa, yavaga batyanino. Yama is a Devata who represents Dharma. Niyamo Yamaha, we are reading it in the Vishnu Sahasranamam. He's an aspect of Kala. It is Vishnu who ordains him, or Shiva who ordains him with that responsibility of taking a jiva out of a body when the time is up. But how do we look at that character, and how do we understand this character, and also what is this concept of kalam teach us? So we look at two stories today, time permitting. Both these stories giving Yama a very, very interesting role, and also talking about Kala. Yama on one hand is Kaladhyaksha, he's the one who controls time. He also controls Dharma. That is why Dharmaraja is named after him. So looking at this aspect and time leading us to our biggest fear, because while we may celebrate the upcoming year on 9th, on Ugadi day, when we're all looking very excitedly for Panchanga Shravanam, everybody wants to hear what are the Rashi Phalas for the year ahead. And in that, if somebody says, oh, for this particular zodiac, it's a very dangerous time, that's it, everybody is on alert. So time, which is fundamentally a concept which is used for sadhana, as Vishwanath Anna so beautifully said, has been a concept that we have taken towards just alleviating our fear. But Kalam is much more than that. Kalam is an opportunity. And that is what both these stories present to us. So the first one, actually both these are very well-known stories, but my objective is to take us to the lesser-known aspects of the well-known stories. So the first story finds a mention in the Mahabharata. This story is not about the Pandavas itself. It is a story about a woman with a great resolve, with a woman who actually defies a lot of social norms. This woman chooses her own husband in a time when most fathers of the brides would choose. She takes it upon herself. She tells her father that I want to go and I want to survey the entire country and I will find somebody worthy of marrying me. And sure enough, she comes back to her father and she says, I found an able man who I want to marry. Who am I talking about? This is Savitri. When Savitri comes back to her father and she says this, when she tells Ashwapati that I want to get married to this certain Satyavanan who I have found, Satyavanan's father at that time has been exiled and Satyavanan is in the forest. So immediately what happens after this is Narada is at this point. He's there in the Sabha at that point and he hears this and he tells Ashwapati, your daughter's Sankalpam is very strong. Sankalpam, her resolve is extremely strong, but there is an issue. Satyavanan, from the day of his marriage, he has 1 year to live. Savitri is least deterred. What is interesting is this information is only known to 3 people, Narada Muni, Ashwapati, and Ashwapati's daughter Savitri. No announcement of this is made anywhere else. She says, what is it? The worry is about how long he'll live. No, that's my problem after I marry him. Why is anybody else worried? Her father tries in great vain. He tries in desperation to convince her. She's not convinced. She gets married. She moves to the forest because that's where Satyavanan lives with his parents. Savitri is the only one keeping track of time. She is the only one aware that there is a great danger that is imminent upon her husband's life. So sure enough, 3 days prior to the day, now the day has different mentions. This is a very beautiful aspect of Sanatana Dharma, that when we look at certain incidents, often we try to map it to this particular aspect. But you will see the same incident coming differently in different characters because time is cyclic. It's not necessary that this happened on one specific day alone. So one version says, as many of you know, there is a Nombu that is performed in Tamil Nadu, which is believed to be the day that Savitri's husband was facing that difficulty. But keeping aside the technical details of when this happened, what's very interesting is she counts 3 days before and she tells her in-laws. Her father-in-law cannot even see. So she tells her father-in-law and her mother-in-law, I'm beginning a certain tapasya. I'm not going to eat for the next 3 days. One by one, I will leave things. So I want you to cooperate with me so that my entire tapasya is fruitful. Her mother-in-law asks her, what are you doing? What is this tapas? She says, I'm doing a vratam. Interestingly, the Mahabharatam does not tell you what vratam it is. It does not tell you. The same Mahabharatam that will detail out Vinayak Chaturthi vratam, Ananta Padmanabha vratam with when do you do it, how do you do it, what is the methodology, does not say anything. 2 words, Jagan Mata vratam. It gives you, that's it. She decides she is going to look at the goddess of all fortune, the mother of the universe, and to that goddess she will do a vratam. She takes it upon herself. The day arrives. Satyavanan has to go to the forest to cut some wood. So she says, I'll accompany you. She goes with him, and after some time, Satyavanan says, my head is feeling giddy. I think I want to lie down. She says, come and lie down on my lap. And she puts his head onto her lap. In a few seconds, Yama appears. Here is when the rahasyams begin. Yama's arrival cannot be seen by ordinary mortals, contrary to popular belief. When Yama arrives, only a Dharmatma can see Dharmaraja. The story is already telling you that somebody is steeped so much in her dharma that she has Divya Drishti. She can see what ordinary people cannot. When she sees Yama, she does not panic. The Lord of all Kala himself is here and he does a namaskaram to her saying, Amma, leave your husband's body aside because his time has come. She does not say anything. I'm particularly narrating this story today because Savitri's story is told as a story of a trickster, somebody who tricked Yamadharmaraja. You cannot trick time. If you could trick time, none of us would be facing karma phalas today as we are. Because you can fool the entire world around you, but you cannot fool the Lord of time and his accountant, Yamaya Dharma Rajaya. That Dharma Raja knows what dharma and adharma is happening. So when he appears, he does a namaskaram to Savitri. She returns that namaskaram and he says, Amma, please carry on. You accompanied him till this point, but from this point onwards, I have to take him and go. She doesn't say a thing. Yama releases the pasham, the noose with which holds us, the noose that holds us. This pasham is a huge topic of discussion, but in the interest of the story, he releases that pasham and takes Satyavanan's Karana Sharira out of him. It's literally Angushta Pramanam. It's literally the size of a thumb. He takes that Shariram, leaving the physical body, and he goes. When he goes, she walks behind. Savitri is not at all fretted. No part of her is wondering, oh my goodness, my husband is going. What can I quickly do? She's just following silently. After some point, Yama looks at her and he says, why are you coming? There is absolutely no space for you in Patala Lokam. Patala is different from Naraka. Again, when we translate, we tend to lose these things. Both these are translated as hell. Naraka is the space that one is sent to for repayment of Papa Karma. Patala is the netherworld which is ruled by Yama. They are two very different things. He says, I have to take the Jiva there. I have to protect Satyavanan's Jiva there before placing him into another body. She said, okay, do your work. What am I saying? I'm just saying I'll come. He says, how can you come? There is no space in Patalam. Anybody cannot enter. She said, you are honoring your dharma. Your dharma is that you will come and you will take a Punya Jivi. My husband is a Punya Jivi. You will come and you will follow your dharma and you will take my husband with you to Patala Loka. I also have my dharma. He smiles and he says, what is your dharma? Sahadharmachari. I am his Sahadharmachari. Wherever he goes, I promised that I will go. I made that promise of my own free will. So now when he's going there, I want to go as well. Yama smiles and he said, you spoke about dharma. Tell me about dharma. Yama asks Savitri, what are the nuances of dharma? And she says, to me, dharma is living with grace, with dignity, and following a commitment that I made. That is sankalpa. The idea that I made that commitment fully well aware of what time has in store for me. So I am not asking you to reverse your decision. This is the beautiful aspect. She does not ask Yama at any point saying, Yama, please do this for me. Yama is so moved that after they walk ahead a little while, the whole time Savitri is talking to him about various aspects of dharma, and he turns around and he says, barring your husband's life, ask me for anything. The first thing she asks is, give my father-in-law's eyesight back to him, give his kingdom back to him. Said, Tathastu, it's done. You can go back. You will see that they will be packing the hermitage and chariots will be coming to take your father-in-law who was banished from the kingdom right back. She smiles and she continues. Again, she starts talking about dharma and she says, Yamadharmaraja, for me to be able to see you, what punyam have I done? She asks him back. This is gratitude. Instead of flinching when all of the idea, the epitome of death is standing in front of you, she's looking at him in the eye and she's saying, what have I done? And he smiles. This part appears in a regional variant where he smiles and he says, I rule time, but there is one who rules me and her name is Mahakali. I am Kaladi Devata, she is Mahakali. Time is relative. As Anna was explaining, there are 5 different systems of calculating time. Sauramana, Chandramana, Barahaspatямana, Nakshatra. All of these are relative to which place we are in. You will know this confusion on any odd Ekadashi day you go. There will be so much confusion. Ivatta, Nade, Ninne, last week, when was Ekadashi? This time is Maha relative to us. But there is one person who is watching all this time and time is in her hands. That is why she holds something called the Kala Pasham. And he says, you did puja to her and because of her blessing, you're able to see me. So Savitri continues with him at this point. And at this point, Yama is now at the brink of Vaitarini. Vaitarini is a Nadi. No ordinary being is allowed to go past that Nadi because it's a point of no return. When they're at that point, he says, Savitri, talking to you about the nuances of dharma has been such a satisfying experience for me. Ask me for something else. She smiles and she says, many, many years ago, When I was born to my father, Savitri appeared from the Agnikunda, from the home Agnikunda. She said at that time, my father, Ashwapati, he was actually doing a yajnam so that he would have a son who would take on his lineage. Then he got a surprise gift in the Agnikunda. It was me. He was very happy that I came. But he still longed for a son so that his kingdom should be taken care of. Give him that son. Yama says, I've given it to him. As a mere thought, he will very soon have a son. Now go back. She says, no, because my dharma is to stay with him. My dharma is enabling me to follow you up till this point with a shariram. So from here on, wherever you lead me, I will go. He says, I cannot lead you beyond here. She said, I cannot leave my husband beyond here. So then he smiles and he asks her, saying, Savitri, do you want anything at all? She says, yes, I want to live in dharma. I want to live in dharma with my husband. And then he says, ask for anything at all. He removes the clause that he previously put 3 times. I didn't mention all the clauses, again, in the interest of time. But at the final point, he removes that one condition and he says, ask for anything. And she says, then with Satyavanan, may I be a mother to 100 children. Not let me become a mother and then Yama says, yo, I give off this offer, but what about this? No, she says, if you are pleased with my dharma. This idea of dharma is beautiful because when you look at time, time is a container that has extraordinary memory. That memory is so powerful that time will remember every single thing that you have ever done and time will reward you for that. That is what is beautifully depicted here and also in the Ramayana. In the Ramayana, in Sundarakanda, again Saturday Anjaneya Swami will refuse not to make an appearance here. In Sundarakanda, when all of Lanka is burning, the Rakshasis go and tell Sita, you saw that Kapi came and talked to you in the morning, we asked you who is he, you didn't want to tell anybody. And now you know what's happening? Ravana is burning his tail. Sita is horrified because she says, he came for me. And then she does something extraordinary. She speaks to Kalam, she speaks to Dharmam. She says, she does not say, may Hanuman's tail be cool. She looks at her past. She looks at the time that she has invested being rooted in her dharma, doing her sadhana. And she says, she makes a very strong declaration. Yadimam vritta sampannam. If I have been true to my vows, tat samagama lalasam. And if I want to be with him, who is him? If I have been true to my vows in the past, and if I want to be with him, and the third clause, Savijanati dharmatma, if that dharmatma knows this, Shito bhava hanumataha. Then may Hanuman's tail be cool. 4 times she repeats, not this shloka, but 4 different shlokas ending with Shito bhava hanumataha. All those shlokas talk about time. She says, if this has happened in the past, if my vratam is true, if I really love Rama, then let Hanuman's tail be cool. So here you see time as an index. You see time as a fulcrum. Time is a devata because time speaks to you. You can look at your past and say, if I have been true. But for that, the being true is important. When you're doing it, when Sita is following her dharmam, she does not do it saying, one day I will use this and get a cashback offer on all of this and say, because I did it properly. There's the difference between nishkapata bhakti, that you do it because you're in love with it. All the while that she is in dharmam, that dharmam will come and protect you in the moment when you need it. That is Savitri's katha, that is Sita's katha. That is the idea that is represented there. So when we look at time, we understand that time is fundamentally a system that has justice enabled within it. If you have been true to your values and to your ethics, time will remember. Whether anybody around you remembers or not, time will remember. Krishna says this in the Gita. Arjuna says, you're asking me to do sadhana, sadhana. What if my life goes? What about all this sadhana? I said, why you're so worried? You come back, take another body. I will press the play button from now. When you go now, I'll put the pause button. When you come back in your next life, from where it ended, it will pick up there. Don't worry, because time remembers everything. That idea that time remembers everything, that forms the Sanatana Dharma understanding of time. That you use time to catch on to a greater moral value for yourself. And if you do that, something extraordinary will happen to you. That is the nature of time. If Savitri's Katha gives a hint about that, another Katha explains it in even more great detail. This Katha has so much hidden inside it that it makes us think, okay, the version I knew is very different. This story also I can tell you in exactly 3 sentences. One Rishi had a boon from Shiva. Either I give you a child with very few years of age who is extremely jnani, over, no? Then I don't have to tell you the story. I can only go home. But instead of just telling stories, let's look at what is hidden inside here. When Mrikandu Rishi is given this varam by Parameshwara, two choices. You want an Alpayush or you want a Dirghayush. What would anybody pick? You can say it, it's okay, Dirghayush. Anybody would want it. But what is the other caveat that he gives? If he is going to be Alpayush, he will be a Jnani. If he is Dirghayush, he will be an Ajnani. Poor Dhritarashtra, if only he had thought a little bit about this. He got no. So much time with his son. Pandu got time with his sons? No. But look at Pandu's, the charitram that they created for themselves versus the charitram that Dhritarashtra's children created for themselves. So in our obsession of wanting time with our loved ones, in that kind of a very tightly or a very selfish approach, here presents the Rishi's worldview of how do you look at time. So Mrikandu says, it's okay, let him be Alpayush, let him go. Shiva says, watch out, 16th year of his life, he will go. That day, he will have to go. No problem. You said he'll be a Jnani, no? That is my reassurance. The boy is born. Here starts the layering in the story. For us, the story ends, it starts here and we directly move to 16 years. But this is not a Hindi serial. Puranas will give you details to focus on what they want trying to tell you. The entire time that Mrikandu's son, because he is Mrikandu, his son is Markandeya. The entire time that this boy is at home, that entire time, rishis keep visiting Mrikandu's ashramam. And Mrikandu does something. He knows at the back of his head that this boy's time is limited. So what does he do? Whenever any other rishi comes to his house, he makes the boy do a Sashtanga Namaskaram to him. When somebody does a Sashtanga Namaskaram, typically you should say Dirghayushman Bhava. No rishi says it. Every rishi who comes is aware Parameshwara's Shasanam. This is Parameshwara's declaration and Parameshwara's rule that this boy is going to go. If I say Dirghayush, it will not happen. This is what we call in Sanskritam as Spruha. Spruha is the presence of mind. Sometimes we aren't thinking, we end up saying something. Sometimes no matter how much we think about it, we don't say it. That presence of mind is Saraswati. That presence of mind clicks all of their tongues. Not one rishi says it. Mrikandu is getting anxious. Not everyone is saying, may you be a Jnani, may you attain lots of fame, may you be at Parameshwara's Padapadmas, but not one is saying, may you be a Dirghayush. Then what happens? One fine day, the Saptarishis come. The Saptarishis along with Arundhati come. Again, Mrikandu is still following the same routine. Whatever happens, doesn't happen, he will make his boy do a Namaskaram. This is also a very, very beautiful marmam, a beautiful instance that talks about Samskaram. When you ask your child, when you get your child into the habit of doing a Namaskaram, you are doing it to either a Vayovriddha, somebody who is elderly in age, or a Tapovriddha, somebody who has years of tapas behind them. When they say something knowingly or unknowingly, there is power in that speech. That power will protect your child. That is the intention behind getting your child to do a Namaskaram. So Mrikandu is carrying on with this. And when the Saptarishis arrive with Arundhati, he brings his child to do the same thing in Eka Kantham. In that moment, Narada has also come. Narada knows exactly where to come, when to come, and how to come. So he's arrived in this moment, and when Narada is watching, there's the reason he's here. Narada watches in Eka Kantham, in one voice, all the Saptarishis along with Arundhati, in Eka Kantham, they say Dirghayushman Bhava. Narada, Mrikandu is thrilled because this is what he wanted to hear. Narada laughs, and everybody looks at Narada. The Saptarishis look at Narada because that's not a happy laugh. Narada laughs and he says, aha. So the Saptarishis look at him and say, why are you laughing? He says, I'm laughing because for the first time in the history of this world, Vedavak is about to be proven wrong. Vedavak is the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is about to be proven wrong. The Saptarishi say, what do you mean? He says, Vedavak says that if a Rishi says something, if a Tapovriddha says something, it will come true. So, the Tapovriddhas have now said Markandeya will have Dirghayush. But Parameshwara has a different plan for Markandeya. Markandeya is supposed to go in a few days from now. So, now either the Rishis are going to be proven wrong or Parameshwara is going to be proven wrong. If the Rishis are proven wrong, the basis of Sanatana Dharma itself is wrong. So therefore, I'm laughing, thinking of all that's going to happen. Before he finished saying this, the Saptarishis vanished from the scene, taking Markandeya with them, and they go to Satyaloka. In Satyaloka, Brahmadeva gives darshanam to them, and he says, how is it that 7 of you have come here? He says, 7 of us have come here to protect the spirit of Veda. Veda says that whatever a Rishi says has to come true. Now we unknowingly uttered that this boy is going to have a long life. This boy's time is not going to end in any time soon. But there is this caveat now. So what is he going to do? Brahma says, you leave the boy with me, you carry on. I know what to do. There he takes the boy and he instructs the boy saying, all of these people around you are so worried. How are you feeling? The boy says, I'm not worried. If my time has come, let it come. My father is unhappy. I don't want to go when my father is like that. Can you give my father peace of mind? Brahmadeva smiles and he says, the only way your father can have peace of mind is if you become a Dirghayushman Bhava. So therefore, I'm going to show you how to go beyond time. This is where the Rahasyam starts. How can I go beyond time? Asks this young innocent boy. Time is Kala. There is one who is ruling this Mahakala. You know what he does to time? What does Shiva do to time? He eats time. The Rudram describes it so beautifully. It says that when Shiva at Mahapralaya Kalam, when Shiva is consuming the entire worlds, he takes the worlds as if he's taking curd rice. The Vedam does not say curd rice. I'm giving that example. Lest you say that take this in a completely different direction. He takes the main object of what he's eating, his main dish, his Vishwam. All of these universes go inside him. But along with that, just like a little bit of Uppinkai on the side, he takes even Mrityu and he consumes even Mrityu. So, the one who you are about to worship, I'm going to instruct you into worshipping the one who is beyond time. So Markandeya smiles and he says, but to worship him I have to use time only, no? Brahma says, yes. That is the essence of Sanatana Dharma. The objective is to go beyond Kalatita Sthiti, to go beyond time where you are not worried about coming back into Samsara Chakra. But for that you have to use time. So when he instructs him into and he initiates him into Parameshwara Upasana, then comes that moment. Markandeya takes the Panchakshari initiation from him and he goes and sits in deep tapas. When he is sitting in his dhyanam, his time has come to an end. Now here is the beautiful aspect. Why did Yama come? Yama again has come because a Dharmatma has to go. When a Dharmatma has to go, there is respect that is shown even by Devatas. They will not simply send a messenger, they will themselves come. So when Yama himself has come now, was Yama wrong to have come? I don't know what the correct answer is. This fellow will always say Ulta only. Was Yama wrong to have come? Who sent Yama to come? Parameshwara. Parameshwara, when he made that declaration on the day before Markandeya's birth, at that time itself, Yama was appointed. The notification was sent to Yama saying, Nine Hogbekappa. So Yama is following Parameshwara's dharma and he has come. Markandeya is deep in Shivaradhana. At that point, Yama says, come. Markandeya says, my worship is not over. Let me finish my worship, I'll come. Time and tide wait for none. So Yama says, I will not wait. And he releases the Pasham. What does Markandeya do? He hugs the lingam and he gives an extraordinary stotram. But this stotram is very confusing because Shiva is known to be the conqueror of death. What is that name that connects to him in that regard? Mrityunjaya, the one who has defeated death. So Markandeya should make a stotram to Mrityunjaya. But he does not. If you pay attention to the Puranas, Markandeya makes a stuti saying Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara Pahimam, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara Rakshama. He should be calling him as Mrityunjaya. But here he is saying, oh, one who has the moon on his head. Why is he talking about the jewel on his head? Here lies a very beautiful aspect of time. As Anna so beautifully explained, from Amavasya till Purnima, how many tithis are there? 15. Can we name them? Because it's a good opportunity to say those names because each of those tithis have devatas associated with them. So let's begin. Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Ashtami, Navami, Dashami, Ekadashi, Dwadashi, Trayodashi, Chaturdashi, Purnima. Purnima / Amavasya, whichever way you're looking at. How many are there? 15. These 15 are the changing digits of the moon. These tithis are changing. The moon that Shiva has on his head is unchanging. When it is Purnima here, Shiva will not have a circle on his head. When it is Amavasya also, he'll have it. Nothing will disappear over there. Because that is called as the Sada Kala. It is that Kala. Chanda Kala, we say. The growing digits or the weaning digits of the moon are called as Kala. Those Kala Amshas are every day changing. As Anna said, between morning and now the Tithi has changed. So all of these are changing. But this is eternal and unchanging. This is Parameshwara Tattvam. The one who is still, but the one who is causing time to change. That is represented by the entire system of our time is based on the moon. That moon is unchanging on his head. That is an indication over there. That indication Markandeya knows. So he said, Chandrasekhara, O one who is not affected by time, I am trying to reach a space in which time does not bother me, but time is coming and pulling me away, saying there's no more time to be with you. So take me out of this. That is why he says, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara, Chandrasekhara Pahima. And in that moment, Shiva appears. When Shiva appears, here lies a conflict. Because this Bhagavan gets himself always into very complicated situations. One time here, one time when another Rakshasa said, not inside, not outside, not this, not that, not that. You know what the common challenge in both these situations is? Think about it. Puranas are giving you something very beautiful to think about. Both these instances give Bhagavan an extremely complicated challenge. The Bhakta who has to be blessed is there. The Bhakta who has to be taught a lesson is also there. Shikshana and Rakshana both have to happen at the same time. When he's in Ram Avataram, no problem. Shabari, Guha, Jatayu, all of them very different. When he's killing Ravana, that Mahadhira, Mahadheya is in a very different mood. Krishna, very different time when he has to come to Kubja or to be with Yashoda. And when he's killing or when he's advising the Pandavas on how to kill Jarasandha and all, it's a very different context. But here, Prahlada is in front of him, Hiranyakashipu is in front of him. If he looks gently at Prahlada, Hiranyakashipu, this fellow is going to kill me here. But if he becomes fierce, it will scare Prahlada. That is one context. And here, when he has appeared, Markandeya is here on one hand and Yama is here. Markandeya has to be blessed. Yama has to be taught a lesson. Why should Yama be taught a lesson? Yama came because he was told to come. Just imagine the situation of a clerk in an office who was told, you come at 12 o'clock and you come and switch off the lights and lock the room and go. That's what the boss tells him. Then this guy goes, Papa, at 12 o'clock. Then he goes inside, he sees the boss is there. The boss says, I'll kick you if you try anything. Get out. Poor Yama, no? No. This is where we start to understand Karma Siddhanta. When Markandeya is worshipping Shiva with such devotion and such nishkapata bhakti, Markandeya did not ask saying, make me a Chiranjeevi. Markandeya is just lost in Shiva and he tells Yama, I'll come. Just let me finish my Aradhana. When you do that, whatever karma is in store for you because of what you did, that karma becomes nullified when you are in a state of love with Paramatma. Whatever you did in the past, Markandeya has his own karma. There is a host of a backstory that he has. But that karma is not important. And that karma he will erase saying, wait, you called out to me with love. And now I am duty bound to protect you. This is exactly what Vedam is saying. So, when now Shiva immediately emerges from this, he looks at Markandeya with great love and he uses his left leg to kick Yama. Why left leg? Because Vama Bhagam is always Shakti. It is Devi who says, Kalam, I appointed you to do this. But he has gone in a state where none of this bothers him anymore. So therefore, he has used Kalam most effectively. Therefore, Kalam cannot hurt him anymore. And as a sign of that, I am pushing you back. So therefore, he kicks him and picks up Markandeya. And Markandeya therefore becomes a Chiranjeevi. This idea, Vedam talks about. Markandeya's story comes in the Puranas. But Vedam talks about this and says, Adhyavochadadhivakta prathamo daivyo bhishak. When all kinds of forces are coming at me, not because forces are cruel and they have nothing better to say than say, hey, let's look at this fellow. No, everything that's coming to us, including this terrible summer, is just the result of our own past deeds. Global warming is not something that Shiva angrily threw at us from Kailasa. It's our lack of respect for Bhumi Devi that's now manifesting in front of us. So, when all of this is happening, Shiva, Veda is saying this, when all of this is happening, when my past karmas are coming because of what I did in the past, when they are coming to attack me, at that moment, I want you to be the first spokesperson. Prathamo Daivyo Bhishak. You speak on my behalf. Why? Because I came and said that I am in deep love and deep devotion towards you. And you yourself said in the Vedas that if somebody loves me with all their heart, then I will protect them. So to honor your own word, why don't you now come and protect me? This is how Veda also tricks Parameshwara. But this is the idea that time and bhakti are so beautifully intertwined that the Lalita Sahasranam has a beautiful word for it, Bhakti Vashya. You can capture him with bhakti and say, got you. Now, you only said this. Vedam is doing exactly this. It's making him sign a contract saying, you have to come when I'm in difficulty. Parameshwara will say, what are the terms and conditions of this contract? Terms and conditions are very simple. You yourself once said that if somebody comes to me and says just once, that they are my person, that they belong to me. I will protect them. Don't worry about any time, past, present, or future. This idea Rama echoes in the Ramayana when Vibhishana comes. Vibhishana has come asking for Sharanagati. What does Rama say? Sakradeva prapannaya tavasmiti cha yachate. If somebody says, Rama, I'm your person, can we introduce? This is the idea that time shows us. Can I introduce myself to anybody? Who are you? I'm a Rama Bhakta. I'm Rama's person. Sakradeva prapannaya tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadhamyetat pratam mama. If somebody says this once, that they are my person, I am duty bound to give them abhayam. So Vedam knows this, and it's saying, this Markandeya knew exactly this. So he said, now I am your person. So therefore Shiva is duty bound. So this entire system of time, which can appear like a trap that holds us, if you want to release from the system, stop looking at the system. Most of us look at time just as a tool to obtain what we want. Oh, this Varsha, will my daughter get married? This Varsha, will I get a promotion? This Varsha, what else is good for me? We want Rashi Phalas. We don't want to look at time as a container to experience something else. All the examples, be it Savitri, be it Sita, be it Markandeya, all of them are examples of people who looked beyond two things. One is time, second is desire. There is no desire in any of them for a certain result. The journey is the desire. If you give up the desire and you give up any fear of time, then you already have him with you. This is what Ravana also knew, interestingly. Because when Ravana sings Shiva's praises, he says, Smarantakam Purantakam. He starts in one of the verses of the Shiva Tandava Stotram, Smarantakam. Smara Antaka. Antaka means the one who killed. Smara is the name of Kamadeva. We all know the well-known story of how Shiva consumes Kama, how he burns him down to ashes. Smarantakam is the first name, if you pay attention to this. Smarantakam, Purantakam, Makhantakam, Gajantakantakantakam, Tam Antakantakam Bhaje. Antaka is Yama. So the first name is Kama, the last name is Yama. So the one who removes Kama and Kala, both of them have absolutely no power in front of him. So go beyond this. Don't be fearful. Don't be worried about what's going to happen here. Whatever your karmas are, if your prarabdha is strong, it was strong in the case of Savitri. Her prarabdha was strong. It came and attacked her. But she had the resilience to stand up to it, not get feared by it. Same thing with Markandeya, same thing with Sita. When you hold on to that idea, you get a release from Kala Chakram. When you find that release, you go into a space with Mahakala from where there is no return. And that idea is not something that is far, far away in the Puranas. That is the idea of time. Because time gives you some beautiful moments to do this. Take the time we are in. It is Shanivaram. It is Pradosha Kalam. Pradosha Kalam on Shanivaram is especially sacred for Shiva. And on that day we had the Bhagyam right now of doing Shiva Radhana through our Shrotam and through our Vacham. So when he gives you time as an opportunity, use it. Forget that I'm doing it for this purpose. Many people will record instances of how they use time for a certain thing. Let's say I'm doing Vishnu Sahasranamam for 40 days because somebody I know love is unwell. Nothing wrong with that. But in the process of that 40 days, fall in love with Vishnu. Whatever that person is meant to get, if your objective is good health for that person, they will get it. But don't wait for the 40th day and say, Yavak mugyatappa, I'm done. Use that, but use it as a launch pad to experience something greater. Because time holds that, whether it is Parvadinas. Look at the idea of how our festivals communicate that. Some festivals are talking about time. They're giving you specifics, be it Janmashtami, be it Vinayak Chaturthi. They're giving you ideas of how powerful time is. But some are telling you time is the best tool to do sadhana. There is one festival, there are a couple like this, but there is one interesting festival which does not have a tithi, but still we celebrate it. Any guesses? Year after year. In this state, to Pakka we celebrate it. In Andhra Pradesh also we celebrate it. In parts of Tamil Nadu we celebrate it. Sorry? Sankranti, yes, but as Anna said, there is a certain system to the. Here also there is a system, but this Sankranti I would contest because it's celebrated across the country. This is predominantly a South Indian festival in 3 major states of the South. It does not have a tithi. You can never say this will come on this tithi. My God, next time, simply, if there are so many quiz questions, think about it. It comes in the second half of the year, in Dakshinayinam. It's one of the most well-known festivals in Dakshinayinam. Varalakshmi Vrata. What's the tithi for Varalakshmi Vrata? How do you determine when it is Varalakshmi Vrata? Friday before Purnima. Or Friday or Thursday evening when everybody else puts it on Instagram saying I'm getting ready, then I know that it's Varalakshmi Vratam tomorrow. It is not giving you a tithi. A system that is otherwise placing so much importance, saying Ashtami has to be there at this time for it to be called Janmashtami, Chaturdashi has to be there at this time for it to be called Shivaratri, is suddenly saying Tithi is not important. Whichever Friday is coming Shukravara, Shravana Paurnami, Purvasta Shukravare. That is all the idea is. Who performed this Varalakshmi Vrata for the first time? Charumati. Look at something beautiful here, showing you what and how powerful time is. Charu Mati. Mati is intellect. Charu Mati is described in the Puranas, in the Skanda Purana, as a woman who is greatly absorbed in her dharma. To her, Jagannatha appears and says, worship me, and she gives these coordinates, saying, worship me on this day. What does Charumati do? She immediately tells everybody else that the goddess came to me and she said this to me. The goddess is not there. Listen. So, when she says this, immediately, Charumati shares this with everybody. She could have kept that information to herself, but she chose to share it. And what happens when they all perform the Varalakshmi Vratam together? At the end of it, they all find themselves bedecked in gold. But what of Charumati? Charumati attains moksha. Why? The rahasyam is in the time. Purnima is the time. Purnima or Purna Chandra is representative of the Sahasrara Chakram within the human body. The Sahasrara Chakram, which blooms, is showcased in time as the full moon. So full moon is a time for great sadhana. What happens to a yoga sadhaka as full moon approaches, or as they are about to reach their own Purna Chandra, they move through these various chakras within the body. Shukravaram. Shukra is the color. What color does Shukra connect to? White. White is the color given to the Agnya Chakram. So to somebody who worships with devotion and is about to recognize and find divinity within themselves, to those people who concentrate and focus their energies at that Agnya Chakra Sthanam, to such a being, a descent of Amritam is imminent. That idea is represented by saying, on the Friday before the full moon, worship me with your heart and you will find release. Varalakshmi Vratam is not a Vratam just that you do in order to get kgs and kgs of gold into your bank locker. It is a Vratam that is showing you a release. Each festival has its significance. Understand this aspect of time that, oh, so this time is powerful. There, the Tithi is not important. It could be Chaturdashi, it could be Navami, it could be anything. There, use that time and you will find release. There are tons of people who have used Varalakshmi Vratam as a yoga sadhana, not the kind that is for Instagram display. And if you actually try any festival like that, it will give you a release. It will give you an opportunity to go beyond. But the only way you can do any of that is by respecting that. If you do not understand it, there are tons of systems around that are helping us understand it. Parvadarshini is one such. Find out, take that respect. It is not feasible also. If you look at our Panchangam, it is impossible practically to celebrate every single festival, because one day marks something in one area, another day marks something else. But that's because time is like a container and somebody had a powerful experience in that particular time. If you take a little bit of camphor and put it on my hand and then remove it, for a while that scent will persist. That is kalam. That somebody did this on that particular day, so you do it now. Charumati did it on that day, you do it now. The Pandavas did it on that day, you do it now. You do it and you quickly find a release. That idea and more is contained within the Samvatsara Chakram. And as we recognize that Kala is in his control, my wish and hope is that in the coming year onwards, our attitude towards time changes, where we don't fear time and we don't say things like, Yalla chanagide, but time chanagilla. Even if time is not on your side, as long as Mahakala or Mahakali is on your side, you know that you have no reason to be fearful of whatever time throws at you. So as we welcome Vasantha and the days to come, may that idea of Kala lead us to sadhana, as Anna put it so beautifully, so that we recognize that all the journey is just to go from here till here. With that, offering this to the Pada Padmas of Pradoshamurti, and massive gratitude to Neel Anna and to Charoka and to Coolcher, to believing that I'm cool enough to sit here and to spend this evening with you. And thank you for being such a lovely and attentive audience. I must admit, I was very nervous to speak in front of Vishwanath Anna, and I cannot thank you all for such a memorable Shani Trayodashi and such a memorable Pradosha Kalam. Swasti.
Wow, thank you so much, Vinay. A big round of applause for all the artists. And we loved how beautifully you connected the Sankalpam to time and to Kala and telling us such wonderful stories and keeping an entire room full of people with rapt attention. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Vishwanath said there is time, right time for everything. So, now the time is to actually reveal Parvadarshini 2.0, the momentous occasion. So, I'm going to call upon Dr. Vishwanath, Neil, and Vibhav on the stage. Shalini, can I request you to So I'm going to not let you go without asking this one simple question to each one of you. So, Dr. Vishwa, what is your one line? Okay, one line of recommendation on why people should encourage, support, and buy Parvadarshini.
I think unknowingly I revealed all those details in my talk. I did not know. I honestly I did not know that there would be this revelation at the end. I accidentally revealed it in the beginning. The best reason why every Indian should buy this calendar is because we should start looking at our agenda on our own phone rather than looking at somebody else's phone. So if we want to celebrate our festivals, then we should look into our calendar rather than marking it on some other calendar. Why not mark our festivals from on our calendar? And it does definitely work out for us. So thank you.
So, Neil, Parvadarshini 2.0, second year in a row, and hours of hard work. How do you feel?
I thought the second time will be easy, but it wasn't. So, as both Vinay and Dr. Vishwa pointed out, ultimately Kala is the master. So, whatever Kala deems, it is how it is going to work. So, there is no point saying why is it difficult or why is it easy. Just continue with the process, as all three of us know. So, yeah, that's.
So, Vibhav, what was the most challenging part of designing this calendar? I know there are a lot of nuances that you got into. So, what was the most challenging for you?
So among the three of us, the idea came from me as such, but it is Dr. Vishwa's expertise. And everything that you see in Parvadarshini about bringing it to life, every single aspect of getting the color, getting each of the illustrations, every one of it has been Vibhav's doing. He spent a lot of time and energy getting each of those illustrations right. And what you see there is a lot of his personal think that he should get it right, and that's what you will see in the calendar. So it's important that you know who is Vibhav. He's standing here and we didn't say who is. So Vibhav is the person who's brought the calendar to life.
Firstly, I'm very grateful for this whole event and the process that is put in place by culture, because we have so many ideas and we want to do so many things. But the opportunity to execute them is very rare, and culture designs makes it possible, and that is what I have really enjoyed. As you asked, what was the most difficult thing? You see, in the design of this calendar, you have free-flowing illustrations and you have extremely accurate mathematical, geometrical, precise requirements. So the difficulty was to do both of these at the same time. Had to be very accurate, because you can't make a mistake. Even if it's a very small mistake, everybody will notice that one small mistake only. So this is the most challenging thing. Another small thing I wanted to share is one of my school friends first asked me that we need to do something like this, a calendar. But it was many years ago, and he put the seed in my mind that this is a very significant project, because we know our limitations. We know we want to do so many things in this world, in this civilization, in this culture, but we have so limited resources. So we were always on the lookout for ideas that are very small but extremely high in significance. And so we arrived at this Panchang to be one such idea. It's very small in terms of size and how resources it takes, but it is very, 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 very significant, because it goes into every household. It connects the astronomy to agriculture to everything. So that is why we decided to make this happen. And when I got to know about culture and we had our conversations, so it was a start of a very beautiful story. And we want to make sure that it keeps growing and evolving in the years to come.
Yeah. As the program comes to an end, on behalf of Culture Designs, we would like to present, as a token of gratitude, our so we have a product called Bangalore in a box, Bangalore in a dabbi. We call it BID. And this season, it has taken a new avatar of Vasantha Butti. What it is, Vishwa, Vinay, and Srimata are about to find out. But this is an idea that Charu and I came up with. But but what drives this product is Charu's innate ability to find something special. And like in any of our BIDs, the recipients, in this case the three of you, are sure to find something that is very special for each one of you, and that's her ability to be able to do this. And so to begin with, first off, request Charu to present the Vasantha Butti to Srimata. Charu is the co-founder of Culture Designs and the person behind much of our creativity.
The next version of Vasantha Butti to Dr. Vishwa, and I request Neil to present it. Neil, who is the co-founder of Culture Designs and the brain behind many of the ideas. Request Dr. Savita to present Vasantha Butti to Vinay. Dr. Savita is the director of Netralaya Foundation, who has touched lakhs of patients as an ophthalmology surgeon, and she's also the chairperson of Swabha Foundation, which is a newly launched foundation for culture conservation. Dr. Savita Chuvinai Vasantabutti. Okay, with that, we come to the close of this beautiful evening. An event like this, as you can imagine, is not possible without the support of a lot of people coming together and supporting wholeheartedly. So I have a list of people that I need to thank. A celebration of Vasantha, celebration of time with stories, music, and wisdom. So thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Dr. Vishwanath, and thank you, Srimata, for gracing this occasion. Now I come to the volunteers who've been instrumental in making this event successful. Thank you, Simha. So we got a call 2 days ago saying, if you've booked a photographer, please cancel it because I want to come and volunteer as a photographer because we love the work that you do. That's Simha. Thank you, Vibhav, for the graphics on the invites. Thank you, Record, for the live streaming and the ticketing. And I got a sign that I need to move to the center for better lighting. And thank you, Bangalore Room, and the person behind it, Rupa Pai, for this wonderful venue, for the stage, for all the support. She's a renowned children's author, and she's also a well-wisher of culture. Thank you, Rupa. So there's a bunch of volunteers who have come and helped us to create this beautiful evening and the decor that you see. Soumya, Anu, Deepak, Sunita, Lavani, Shalini, thank you for volunteering to breathe life into this event. And last but not the least, thank you, a heartfelt thank you to each one of you for coming and supporting us, for braving Bangalore traffic, for sitting in the heat despite the fans. Thank you. Thank you so much for all your support to Culture Designs. And this definitely gives us hope that there is love for Indian culture and heritage. There are people who come and support wholeheartedly like this, and I hope the tribe really grows. I saw a lot of you taking pictures, videos while the event was going on. So please tag us while you share the pictures on Instagram. Please spread the word and please be our supporters. There's a stall downstairs where if you want to buy Parvadarshini to give it as a gift for Ugadi, or you want to buy a couple of copies for yourself, or you want to check out other products of culture, there is a stall downstairs. So please check it out. And how can a celebration of Vasantha, so close to Ugadi, be complete without some snacks, Bengaluru snacks? Can you guess what is the sweet that is not, Ugadi is not complete without the sweet? Yes. So we have our own version of Obatu today as Obatu rolls and some Karam Kurum snacks. So please join us while you enjoy the snacks with coffee, tea, and let's continue the conversations. Thank you so much.